The historical account of 1979 describes a pious uprising, a nation following an uncompromising cleric to establish a state governed by divine law. Central to this new identity was the official state emblem, ostensibly a stylized Arabic calligraphy of the word Allah, intended to represent the core of the Islamic Republic. However, forensic visual analysis reveals a documented geometric alignment with the Sikh Khanda symbol. Intelligence files indicate this structural overlap was a deliberate design choice by Khomeini, embedding a permanent foreign visual anchor into the national flag. This visual anomaly is mirrored in Khomeini's own records. He consciously used the pen name Hindi, Arabic for Indian, throughout his poetic works, even as the regime today spends a massive whitewash budget to erase any mention of his family's Sikh origins from state archives. The presence of a foreign religious symbol in the national emblem, combined with the active suppression of the founder's lineage, points towards a national identity that was engineered rather than inherited. The regime's absolute authority rests on a single hereditary requirement. The supreme leader must be a Sayyid, a direct paternal descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. While this status is central to his power, there is an absence of any community, archival, or historical records attributing the Sayyid title to Khomeini's father, Mustafa al-Musawi. As researchers have challenged this lineage, both Khomeini and his successor, Ali Khamenei, have maintained a decades-long refusal to submit to DNA verification. A simple, definitive genetic test would permanently validate their divine authority and silence all critics with scientific evidence. By withholding that proof, the regime leaves the foundational claim of its own leadership unverified. Fabricating religious credentials to secure political power has a long history in the region, beginning with the 7th century Arab-Muslim conquest of the Sassanid Persian Empire, a massive trauma for Persian civilizational identity. To reclaim status, a myth was constructed claiming a Persian princess married an Islamic imam. This Hussein Kisra fabrication transformed a military defeat into a royal alliance, asserting that Persian blood was now divine. The Safavid dynasty later resurrected this playbook, heavily distorting traditional Shia Islam to consolidate a new authoritarian state religion centered on the ruler's perceived divinity. Seen through this lens, a falsified Sayyid lineage is a modern application of a 1,000-year-old strategy to manufacture a right to rule. During the 19th century, British colonial intelligence was explicitly mapping Indian Sikh and Hindu communities to identify candidates who could infiltrate the Shia clergy in Persia and Iraq. This mapping period matches the exact movement of Khomeini's grandfather, Ahmad al-Hindi, who migrated from the village of Kintur in British India to the Shia centers of Iraq, where he adopted a new Islamic identity. Intelligence reconstructions of Khomeini's early years suggest he observed the immense wealth of a neighboring Shia imam, which was sustained entirely by the donations of followers. He later operationalized this observation by inventing Wilayat al-Faqih, the rule of the jurist. This doctrine granted him absolute political power, despite being rejected by traditional Shia scholars in Najaf. The architect of the Islamic Republic was an ambitious figure who utilized a radical new doctrine and a borrowed identity to execute a hostile takeover of a faith. Today, the regime maintains domestic authority through a system of engineered economic fragility. By dismantling the middle class, the state eliminates the primary source of political opposition, forcing citizens into absolute dependency on state food subsidies and clergy-run charities for survival. While the general population faces hyperinflation and basic shortages, the families of Revolutionary Guard elites hold massive, documented assets in European banks and attend Western universities. This mass poverty functions as a security infrastructure, ensuring that a population focused entirely on daily survival lacks the resources and bandwidth to mobilize against the state. In 1978, as the Shah threatened global markets by refusing to lower oil prices, France provided Khomeini with an operational base in Paris. This support positioned him as a radical chaos agent capable of destabilizing an independent nationalist regime. The installation of a virulently aggressive theocracy in Tehran created a permanent regional decoy, shifting the focus of Arab governments away from territorial conflicts and justifying endless military expansion. This architecture of control, using fabricated credentials and weaponized religion, was later franchised to proxy groups, with leaders like Hassan Nasrallah replicating the same template of concealed origins and claimed Sayyid status. The ultimate irony of this operation is that by forcing an oppressive, distorted version of Islam onto 90 million people, the regime has manufactured one of the highest rates of religious rejection and atheism in the Muslim world. The Islamic Republic is a multi-generational geopolitical franchise that uses a stolen religion and a fabricated bloodline as a cover for total control.